The Game Awards are just a few hours away, so I thought it would be a great time to share my own take on the best games of the year. Now, my list is probably going to be a bit different from what you'd expect. These days, I have a pretty unique perspective on video games. Gone are the times when I'd spend 100 hours playing through Baldur's Gate, Cyberpunk, or Dragon Age. Honestly, I barely managed 15 hours with Resident Evil 4 last year. And while I really enjoyed what I played of Alan Wake 2, for whatever reason, I just couldn't finish it. I seem to really struggle with single-player games lately, and that's not a reflection on the games themselves, that's just me. And that's something I'll dive more into in an upcoming video. Objectively, 2023 was an incredible year for gaming. We had so many critically acclaimed titles. Again, Baldur's Gate 3, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, the list goes on. But for me, 2024 has been the year where I've finally found some games that I've really gelled with in a way that I haven't done in a very long time. I've dabbled in the big releases like Black Myth Wukong and Warhammer Space Marine 2, and I'm looking forward to eventually getting the chance to play Astrobot. But today I want to talk about the games that I've actually been playing and loving. These are the games that really grabbed me in 2024, and they are a bit different from what you might expect. Let's get into it. Number 5, Marvel Rivals. Starting things off, number 5 is Marvel Rivals, and yeah, don't judge me, this is the only game on my list that's like mainstream popular and super hyped. Everything else is a little bit more niche. This one is only so low on the list because it's so new. I just haven't had enough time to see if the obsession will stick, but so far, wow. This game has been a revelation for me in the live service genre. Ugh, I can't believe I'm calling live service a genre. I'll be honest, live service games have really soured me on gaming in recent years. They've led to what I feel is a massive decline in the quality of the games that I usually enjoy. The genres and style of games I love most are the ones that lend themselves to live service, and it has been killing them. It's one of the reasons I felt so disheartened and even disincentivized to play video games at all over the last few years. But Marvel Rivals, at least based on my first impressions, seems like it has a real shot at standing the test of time and living up to the hype. Obviously, we'll see how the next few weeks go, but for now, it feels fresh, exciting, and incredibly polished. What I believe sets it apart from its obvious main competitor, Overwatch, is the third-person perspective. This might sound weird, but when I first started playing, I didn't even click that it was third person. I've played Overwatch on and off since it came out, and I've always liked it. I mean, I've probably got a couple 100 hours in it, but I've never loved it. It just never gripped me. With Marvel Rivals, I kept telling people, I don't know what it is, but this game just feels better to me. It's smoother, it's more fun, and it just feels right. And then someone I was in a call with pointed out that it might just be that it's third person instead of first person, and my mind was blown. For whatever reason, that perspective shift made all of the difference for me. The roster of Marvel characters is also just ridiculously fun to explore. Every single time I play, I seem to discover a new favorite. For example, I was avoiding playing Star-Lord at first because he's very similar to Tracer, and I never enjoyed playing Tracer in Overwatch, but I gave Star-Lord a shot for the first time last night, and I absolutely loved him. That's been the case with almost every new character I've tried. It's like, why didn't I pick them earlier? Every time. It's still early days, but if this game keeps me hooked, it could climb even higher on my all-time list. But for now, it's been a fantastic way to reconnect with friends and dive into some Marvel action. Number 4, The Bazaar. Coming in at number 4 is a game that I'm sure the fewest of you will have heard of, and that is The Bazaar. Now, this game is still in closed beta. It's brand new, just like Marvel Rivals, but it's already made a huge impression on me. Over the last month, I've been pretty hooked on it. The gameplay revolves around discovering new synergies and building the best compositions, which is such a satisfying loop for me. Every match feels like a puzzle to solve, and there's always something new to experiment with. It scratches that itch of wanting to constantly tinker, optimize, and improve. What I really love about The Bazaar is its structure. You get one free ranked game per day, which forces you to really think about your strategy and make every move count. Because you only get the one free ranked game per day, and you earn currency by playing well in ranked, your performance really is tied to your progression in a really satisfying way. It does feel like every move you make matters, and when you win, it's deeply satisfying. That said, I'll admit, I'm pretty bad at the Bazaar, but honestly, that doesn't stop me from enjoying it. Losing doesn't feel frustrating because every game feels like an opportunity to learn something new. It's definitely got that just one more game kind of vibe, which, to be fair, all of my picks have in common. It's definitely one to keep an eye on when it officially launches next year. For now though, I can't stop playing it. It's my current obsession, and while I don't know how long that'll last, right now, I'm absolutely loving it. Number 3. Squad Busters. Number 3 is Squad Busters, which has been my go-to mobile game this year. If you've not heard of this one, you might recognize it from that infamous ad campaign during the last Game Awards show. The one with the annoying chicken.
Game Fest 2024! Look at all of you cooped up watching video game announcements. And yes, Chicken does look a lot like Ken Jeong. And today, Chicken is excited to share a new game that Chicken and Chicken's buddies are in, called Squad Busters.
People were absolutely hating on it at the time, and honestly, I think the game got unfairly overshadowed by all of the memes and frustration around that ad. Here's the truth. Squad Busters is actually pretty incredible. It absolutely nails, once again, the just one more match feeling. The short match times make it ridiculously easy to sink hours into without even realizing it, and the progression system is grindy. But it's the good kind of grind. You always feel like you're working towards something, and that sense of progression keeps you coming back. Now, let's talk about monetization for a second, because this is where Squad Busters really shines, I feel. Supercell has done such a fantastic job of keeping it fair. Unlike some mobile games that I shan't mention, Marvel Snap, for example, that charge you £100 for a single new card or some skins, Squad Busters doesn't feel predatory. You can enjoy everything the game has to offer without spending a ton of money, or really any money, and that's so rare these days. And I've not regretted any of the money I have spent on battle passes and things because it's felt so rewarding. The gameplay itself is just so fun. It's tactical, fast-paced, and incredibly satisfying. Every time you eliminate another squad, you get this amazing taptic feedback, whether it's the sound effects or the vibrations or the way that the game flows. It feels great. It's one of the most polished games I've played this year, mobile or otherwise. Honestly, I feel like Squad Busters got snubbed at the Game Awards this year. It's the kind of game that deserves way more recognition than it's gotten. It's been a huge surprise for me this year, and I cannot recommend it enough. If you've been hesitant to try it because of the memes or the ad campaign, give it a shot. It might just surprise you too. Number 2, Balatro. Coming in at number 2 is Balatro, the darling game of 2024. This game has become my ultimate time sink. It's the game I've spent the most hours on this year, bar none, and it's now my second most played game of all time on Steam, clocking in at around 850 hours. That alone should tell you how addictive it is. The magic of Balatro lies in its simplicity. It's one of those games where you sit down thinking you'll just do one quick run and suddenly hours have passed. The gameplay loop is so engaging that it's hard to stop once you get going. Every run feels fresh and exciting. This is also the only game on the list that I've been playing a lot with Lucy. She's gotten really into it as well, and we spent hours sharing screen time, doing runs together, and discussing strategies. I even had to get her to buy the game herself on Switch because she kept taking my Steam Deck away from me when I wanted to play it. Toby's been playing it too, and it's so much fun to just jump on Discord, screen share, and talk about the game while we all play. That social aspect does add a layer of enjoyment that is rare for a game like this. What I love the most about Balatro is how it challenges your decision making. It's not just about reacting, it's about planning ahead, taking risks, and learning from your mistakes. It is endlessly replayable and endlessly fun. Even after my 800 hours of playing the game, I'm still discovering new synergies with the Jokers. That is incredible to me. It shows just how deep and well designed this game is. But let's be real, if you're prone to procrastination, Balatro can be dangerous for your free time. But for me, it's been a game I keep coming back to because it's just that good. I would say the closest comparison I can make is Slay the Spire, which is another game I've spent a lot of time on. But honestly, I think I've played even more Balatro than Slay the Spire at this point, and that is saying something. It has that same appeal of making every decision feel meaningful, but Balatro stands out with its unique mechanics and design. It's also worth noting that this is an indie game, and yet it's been nominated for Game of the Year. That is so impressive for a title like this. There is no way it's going to win, but I'll be honest, I would celebrate like crazy if it did. It deserves all of the recognition it's gotten and more. So yeah, Balatro has been an absolute highlight of 2024 for me. If you haven't played it yet, I can't recommend it enough. Number 1. Tekken 8. Finally, my number 1 game of 2024 is Tekken 8. Right, let me start by saying this. I didn't even know I was a fighting games kind of guy. Sure, I've enjoyed Smash Bros in the past, playing it sort of competitively with friends, and yeah, I did go through a phase of playing Dragon Ball FighterZ when it came out, but honestly, the reason I was so into Fighters was because my friends were playing it, and the reason I got into Smash was probably also because my friends were playing it. And I wanted to get good enough at both games to beat them. I'm very competitive, what can I tell you? I ended up putting about 200 hours into Fighters, but again, that wasn't because I had this deep love for fighting games, it was more of a social thing. With Tekken 8 though, it is completely different. This game is so special to me for so many reasons, and it's easily the most rewarding game I've played this year. For one, Tekken has been a part of my life since I was a kid. I played the first few games, probably Tekkens 1, 2, and 3, with my dad, who has never been a gamer, but Tekken was the one series he would play with me, and that created some really nice memories for me growing up. So there's definitely a nostalgic connection to the franchise, which makes Tekken 8 even more meaningful. The real magic, though, is how fulfilling it feels to improve at the game. Fighting games are famously intimidating. There is a steep learning curve, and for a lot of people, that is a barrier. But Tekken 8 does such a great job of rewarding your effort. Every hour you put into the game feels like it pays off, whether you're learning new combos, mastering matchups, or climbing the ranked ladder, which of course is my favorite part of the game. There is this constant sense of progression that keeps you hooked. Over the course of the year, I've played 570 hours of Tekken 8, and that is how much I've loved it. And here's the kicker. I first brought it on PlayStation 5, but I enjoyed it so much that when Lucy and I went away for a few days, I was missing it, so I bought it again on my Steam Deck, just so I could keep playing. I honestly cannot remember the last time I bought a game twice. That, more than anything, speaks volumes about how much I've loved this game. Hitting Tekken God earlier this year was one of the proudest moments I've had in gaming in a long time. It was a real test of patience, perseverance, and skill, and it felt so good to achieve. Even now, 10 months later, I still pick up the game for a few rounds pretty much every day. The soundtrack is incredible too. It is the perfect mix of hype and adrenaline, and it makes every match or training session so much more engaging. The music adds a layer of energy that pulls you deeper into the experience and makes every fight feel more intense. I also want to mention something kind of funny about my history with Tekken. When Tekken 7 came out, I played it for about 2 hours before I got this horrible repetitive strain injury in my fingers. It hurt so much I couldn't play anymore, and it even hurt to type for a few weeks. But with Tekken 8, I haven't had that issue at all, and that's because I made one simple change when I started playing. I remapped the punch buttons from square and triangle on the PlayStation controller to R1 and R2. That adjustment completely fixed my RSI. It doesn't hurt to play at all now and hasn't hurt all year, and honestly, I wish I'd figured that out years ago because I might have had the same obsession with Tekken 7 if I had. My only disappointment with Tekken 8, and this is not the game's fault, is that I don't have any friends to play it with. I wish I had people who were invested in the game as I am, because being able to play some couch matches with friends would really elevate the whole experience. But even without that, Tekken 8 has been an incredible journey for me this year. If you've ever wanted to try getting into a fighting game, Tekken 8 is absolutely the one to try. It's polished, balanced, and endlessly satisfying, and that is why it is my game of the year for 2024. Now tell me why I'm wrong.